I was at the car wash late at night. I was taking the night shift, unfortunately. Really didn't like the night shift that much. I went to clean the last of the windows for the very last car that I was finished. I was really excited to get home because, well, it was 9 o'clock and, well, I need to get home and make dinner and all that stuff. When all of a sudden a car pulled up, it was a rusty old minivan, and I sighed a little because I didn't want any more work for the rest of the day. So as usual, a man walked out of the van and walked up to me. He uh, he looked at me in a very despicable way. He had a beard, very long one too. There was a slash down it. There was a cut scar down his eye. He car wash, he yelled. I told him that we were closed, and that he could come back tomorrow. Car wash, he muttered. I I told I told him that I didn't want to do his clean up another car for the rest of the night because, well, I was bored and I was tired. Car wash, he muttered one final time. I then said that he would need to show me his driver's license if he wanted the car washed. I was that kind of person that just wanted to make sure he had a driver's license, not just any idea. He handed me over a very old driver's license that I took a look at, and it turns out that driver's license had expired like 5 years ago. I and that is when I told him that it was already expired. He then gave me a very nasty, nasty look, and then he got into the van, and I was expecting that he was leaving, but he came back out with another card, and I was guessing that was his non-expired driver's license. He handed it to me, but it wasn't his license. It was what appeared to be his brother. It looked the best. It was my best guess. I told him that I needed his driver's license, not anyone else's. He yelled to the top of his lungs, "Car wash!" And by then, I'm pretty sure everyone can hear me. I told him that I was going to call the police if he didn't leave. He then drove off. About 10 minutes later, I'd finally finished with the very last car when, boom, he had stopped right outside of out of my yard. And he was like right in front of my company. I was I was locking up the car wash for the night when all of a sudden he came out with his brother, and his brother was holding his driver's license, and turns out it wasn't his brother, it was actually his cousin. And his brother and his cousin said, "You really need to give me a car wash. I really need it at the moment." I told him that we are closed and that I didn't want any more business for the night. Then he shoved me onto the floor, and by then I was ready to call the police. I reached for my phone, which was in my back pocket, when all of a sudden the man's cousin, threw his wallet at me. I screamed to him, "I'm gonna call the cops." And, well, he didn't care. He just told me that if I hadn't had his car done by the next day, bad things would happen. Bad things indeed. And I wasn't that threatened because I've dealt with grumpy customers. And I told him that I would have his car done by the next day. I lied to him, actually. I didn't tell the truth. In fact, I was doing the opposite of get his car better, I would make it worse. So they walked off with, without the car. A few blocks away, they had just gone to the bus stop and all that. And the bus that they had got into drove off. And as soon as they were out of my sight, and there's and I was out of their sight, I got the car, but they hadn't left me the keys, so I was expecting that they didn't want me messing around inside. And so I didn't really care that they didn't want me messing around. So I just decided, meh, I'm gonna break in. But another part was saying, don't do it. So I didn't do it. The next morning, business was slow. I had 5 more cars to wash. In the van that they had left. I actually got myself to clean it, even though they didn't deserve it. They had come to pick it up, and someone had come to pick it up. And that someone wasn't anyone I've seen, but he was as threatening as them. And I sighed and said, who are you? Oh, wait, what?